What up? Today, Bungie should be putting out their massive in-game update that will finally undo the dreaded effects of Waitgate, meaning it should now be officially okay to loot farm in the Vespers Host dungeon to try and get a god roll, and remember that some of the dungeon loot is actually quite fire. Now, I should be clear, Bungie has also mentioned that starting November 19th, the Vespers Host dungeon will offer double loot drops, so you might want to hold off on farming until then. They've also mentioned that on November 19th, Banshee will be selling a few, hey, sorry we effed up with Waitgate apology weapon rolls, which will include a VS Chill inhibitor with Spike Nades, Envious, and Bait and Switch, a truly solid apology gift. That being said, I still think that the dungeon will be worth farming for the other weapons, including the very godly Velocity Baton. And if you want to get really technical, that Chill inhibitor Banshee roll is probably a 3 out of 5, so you could still farm the full 5 out of 5 if you're a perfectionist. I'm gonna show you a few farming methods for encounters 1 and 2 of Vespers Host, including an incredibly efficient method for farming the first encounter on Vespers Host, which if you practice can literally be done by only 2 players in under 3 minutes. Feel free to skip ahead to the following time on screen if you want to see that right away. Okay, very quickly, I want to put out a disclaimer of please play the game however you want and just have fun. Every time I put out a farming guide or method that potentially involves a dusting of freshly grated Gouda, some guy in the comment section always chimes in with some version of, or you could just play the game. And yeah, that's fine. If you want to farm the dungeon normally and gain the eternal favor of the Allfather Dado watching down on you with an approving silent head nod, by all means, just go ahead and do that. However, some people like to min-max their loot farming, and I'm definitely not gonna look down my nose at those people who just want to be fast and efficient. TLDR, play and farm however you want. Okay, disclaimer over. First up, we're actually going to go over a method I hard recommend nobody waste their time doing for the first encounter, and that is bomb duping. If you didn't know, there used to be a really easy method of bomb duping during the first encounter. In short, you could basically clone an infinite number of bombs and then dunk them into the 3 chests in encounter 1 to finish the encounter way faster, and it was all very, very easy to do. Bungie understandably 86'd that method, but there is still a way to dupe bombs infinitely in encounter 1. It is just significantly harder. I learned the following method from Cheese Forever, and despite my great respect for that man, holy shit, do I not recommend this method at all. In order to clone the bomb now after the Bungie nerf, here's what has to happen. One person should just be picking up the bomb, holding it for about a half a second, and then dropping it on repeat. One fire team member should be trying to take the bomb from that player's hands right as they see the option Take Bomb appear on their HUD. The timing from both players essentially has to be frame perfect, and I cannot tell you how frustrating this was to do once successfully, let alone twice, in order to cheese the first encounter. If you really have the timing down with a partner, then go for it, but completely not worth it IMO. Here is the under 2-minute method, which involves oobing, aka out of bounding, and I know that more casual players are extremely intimidated by the concept of oobing, but I assure you that on a scale of 1 to 10 difficulty, this is probably just a 2 or a 3. Shout out to Silken, by the way, who was the original pioneer of this route. Link to their channel in the video description. Here it is in a nutshell. One player stays behind in encounter 1 and does not launch the encounter, they just kind of hang out. Meanwhile, the out of bounds player heads in the direction I will show you right now. Make sure you have a Salvation's Grip exotic grenade launcher equipped and follow this route. Okay, when you get to right about here, there's an invisible ledge you have to slide under in order to get past, so make sure you slide to do that and drop down to the area below. Around here, it gets a little dark, but try to jump all the way up to the area on your right. Right here, your goal is to get up on this little beam to your right and crouch walk forward until you reach the area kinda in front of you and to your left, like so. Right here, you're going to take out your Salvation's Grip and fire a charged grenade shot right there on the floor. Crystals will appear, and you now have to shoot and break all of them, except for the very last one, the little shorty crystal, which was where we aimed it on the floor to begin with. Leave that one where it is and jump on top of that shorty crystal and crouch walk forward to the hidden ledge in front of you. Here, your job is kinda to jump up and fall through this gap in between the pipes shown just below you. When you've done that, booyah, you're now actually at the beginning of the next mini maze encounter. In short, all you have to do now is just proceed forward like you normally would with this mini bomb dunking encounter, but you only have to dunk 3 bombs, and doing so will officially finish the first encounter. The reason this farming method works is because the first Vespers Host dungeon encounter ends when your team has dunked 3 bombs into the chests outside after the big fallen mech fight. So when you skip ahead via out of bounding and dunk 3 bombs during the mini maze encounter, the game recognizes that you've dunked 3 bombs and ends the first encounter. Meanwhile, the other player of the fire team who hasn't gone anywhere and is hanging out should activate the start encounter mechanic immediately after the out-of-bounding player has deposited the 3rd bomb in the maze encounter. Do that, and bam, easy first encounter dungeon loot. I know the footage I showed you to navigate the out-of-bounding experience was a tad clunky and slow just because I'm trying to show you exactly where to go. But yeah, get some practice with doing this and you can get the whole thing done from start to finish in under 3 minutes. Actually, if you use an eager edge sword, you can do the entire farm in under 2 minutes. Unfortunately, this is really hard for the average player to do, all that crazy technical movement, but I do think the modified 3-minute version I've shown here pretty much any player can do. Then just reload your saved encounter 1 checkpoint on another character, swap characters, and run it back on infinite easy. Reminder that the first encounter loot pool has all of the following: the VS Chill Inhibitor Heavy GL, the VS Gravitic Arrest Fusion Rifle, and the VS Velocity Baton Breech Loader. If you're interested in farming the VS Pyro Electric Propellant Auto Rifle, why don't we talk about farming Encounter 2, aka the Giant Servitor boss fight. While there's no cheese I know of to blow by the entire encounter like Encounter 1, there is a method to unlock an infinite damage phase, aka you'll never have to deal with the boss reforming itself into its Mega Servitor form. You'll be able to just shoot away at the many damageable regular servitors forever, essentially guaranteeing a 1 phase every time. Here's how to do that. Go through the encounter as you normally would, but when you get to the part where you now have the second set of servitor numbers, you now want to have one player stay back up in the area where you get these servitor numbers while the other player drops back down into the DPS room, grabs the operator buff, and shoots only 3 of the 4 available numbers. They should then wait for their player who's been staying back to drop down into the DPS room, and the second after they fully enter the DPS room, immediately shoot the 4th and final number and dunk the operator buff quickly. In a nutshell, if you do this before the text Reneix finds strength in Unity appearing in the bottom left-hand corner of your HUD, you have now basically guaranteed to have a never-ending damage phase on the boss. Drop the suppressor buff on the boss, break it down into many servitors, and have at it. Damage-wise, I'm going to recommend one of 2 things just to make DPS go faster. Any Titan players should be rocking the Glacial Quake Super, ideally on a Prismatic subclass, so they can take advantage of exotic class armor with Spirit of the Star Eater, so their super hits even harder. Warlock and Hunter players should feel free to just equip a Wardcliff Coil paired together with triple arc surge mods on their leg armor. Reason being is that this boss in particular is coded in such a way that it takes more damage from Wardcliff Coil shots, so GG. You could also bring a Radiant Well and a Hunter Tether if you choose, but yeah, TLDR, Wardcliff spam for the non-Titan players. Enjoy that never-ending DPS timer and free 1 phase every time. Reminder that if you want god roll info on each weapon, I have a video covering all of that. I'll link that down in the pinned comment. Like today's video if it helped you in any way, happy farming, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!